What's up? I'm on Vindictus. All that good stuff. My day is going pretty good. Hopefully yours is. You can always leave a comment on that if you wish. Now, this one is a requested subject. It's about someone that has had issues with their partner being faithful. The heart has a voice. Are you in tune to know what to do as far as what is the best decision and how to actuate for what it is that decision? Is it something that you have to dig deep? Is it something that's easy? Is it something that's hard? The real question is, are you willing to play it hard? When it happens to be necessary. When the voice of the heart tells you that it's necessary. Is it that maybe some ground rules were not set up? If it has happened more than once, after it has been set up. Not much more amongst that is it that you can do. Just got to listen to that heart. The voice, as it is, it speaks the truth of your heart. The way that you happen to feel. Is it something that is mutual, that both happen to feel? Is it a one-sided love? Listen to the heart and its voice. You will know for what to do if it is true love. But boundaries must be set. Or this kind of thing you happen to forget. It's a hard choice to make. Are you willing to try to change for what it is? Or think for how you wish for what it is? But actions must pursue. Otherwise, your heart already tells you for what to do. Statistically speaking, your first instinct feeling, you will be happier with that. Just so you know that. No matter for what it is, no matter love or other, your heart has a voice like none other. Do you listen to it or do you not? Is it hard? Is it easy? To be in a relationship, it can be hard, not easy. Must be a mutual trust. Otherwise, the relationship starts to rust. And like links of a chain, what happens when there is rust and starts deteriorating that chain? Between you and the other, mutual trust must be there between each other. Rash decision is not the wisest to make, though. How far are you willing to go to be with that one? It must be questions before you choose your direction and which one. But the heart has a voice. You must listen. If you do not, you will not be happy with the decision because you have chosen not to listen. Not always easy to accept that maybe the other did not properly interject. Or maybe it may be that you wish to work it out. Either way, both parties must be in the same agreement and do for what it is about. No matter how hard or how much lack of trust. If you're willing to deal with, then it's no big deal as long as you deal with the rust at the source of where it is. A mutual trust. That is the way you do such things as this. Because it takes two to love. Cannot be just one. But of course, you must put yourself out there. Unless it is you happen to be scared. It can be hard when it is you do not know where it is your partner happens to go. Never knowing if they will be a way that no longer do you wish to be. But the choice is up to you. Is it something that you both wish to do? The mutual trust must be there regardless. If you hardly see each other, it has to be there, especially regardless. For they already know if they are truthfully one that wishes to be with you. What it is you expect, and what it is you will do. For they are in a yoke next to you. You cannot go left if the other goes right. You cannot go down if the other one goes up. It is a group. You must go whichever way. But you cannot do it yourself upon this day. In case you do not know what a yoke is, it is a farming device that they use to put two animals together to ensure upon the fact they work together. Because otherwise, you do not do such a thing. They each have their own idea and which way they wish to go amongst their things. As a couple, that is what you do. So who is it that is yoked to you? I've also described this in another way. Who is it that you are tethered to? That is one of the first videos I ever did, by the way. But the heart has a voice. What does it say with that soft and subtle voice? Of course, when it is also you go to argue, you realize there is a proper way to argue. Without prejudice, of course. Each has a turn and has a voice. That argument of just discussive. There is a right and a wrong way to argue. You must set aside your own agenda to properly argue. You must fully see for what it is they wish. And make sure you confirm such things as this. the ego to speak about such things. After each statement, clearly state what it is you think they are saying with their statement. So, as it I understand, you are saying this. Or, as I understand, you are feeling this. That is the proper way to argue. Not have a fist fight on why it is you happen to argue. Because you get nowhere when you have a yelling match. You could not get loud enough for them to hear for what you really wish for them to hear. The only thing they wish is to be confirmed on what they want you to hear. Do you get the confirming? That way, there's no yelling, for it has already been confirmed. But the heart has its voice. Are you patient enough and willing to listen to its voice? Even when it is, you must, for a short period of time. But the other speaks when it is their time. To set aside for what is your showing of pride. There are many ways you can achieve this. You can decide a special item that you and them use, as you can only speak when you have it, or other things. There are many ways to ensure of these such things. But communication is the biggest. Because if you do not listen to their heart as well, because you are in a yoke with them, then how can you tell which way they wish to go? Which way they feel, because you are in a yoke. Together you go. You're not by yourself. So now, the feelings of their heart, you must listen as well. And it has a voice. Do you listen to it that well? The heart has a voice. When there are two, there are more than just you. When you choose to do, both must be in a line. When they move, they must move upon the same time. I've also spoke about something else as well. Like a book. This partner of yours, whoever might be listening to this, at some point, let me ask you this. When your partner goes to do something, can you read them like a book? Do you know for what they will do before you even have to look? Do you know upon how it is they expect you to respond? Or have you ever thought, together you must respond? Not as a separate piece. As one in a yoke, in a single piece. The heart has a voice. Now you must listen to two. So how much about your partner's heart do you know, or do you only know for what is the heart of you? You'd be surprised sometimes if you were to listen to your partner. How much do you know them unless you truthfully listen? The heart has a voice. Do you listen? Do you wish to have a relationship that happens to glisten? Or will you set your pride aside and choose to listen? Many have their own motives amongst for what is their relationship. Do they have similar motives? Do they not? Are they ones that are good for you, or are they not? What is it amongst their heart they wish to have? Do you listen to the heart that they happen to have? Do you listen to its voice? Or do you even bother? If you are in a relationship, you need to actually start to bother. To pay attention. Make it a point. Because that's the only way a relationship grows at any point. How much more trust could it be that you could learn with your partner if their heart you happen to learn? Happen to listen. Happen to know and help it to glisten. How much support is it that you happen to give? Is it a give, or give and take? I cannot go just one way in this place. As far as for a relationship in this place. If you give support and the other does not, not very good relationship in this spot. Maybe hard to learn to trust. Maybe amongst another relationship. No longer for one similar do they trust. It's not always easy to know if it is you're not willing to open up. To be in a true, good relationship, you must be able to open up. Almost must just freely come out, even when it is not asked. At that point, it proves you actually have interest, because it does not need to be asked. For at that point, you are fascinated with the other. You wish to know more about the other. But is it a mutual, or is there lack of interest and it's not mutual? How much do you enjoy doing things together? Can be simple as well. It doesn't have to be something special to do together. That's how the relationship happens to be grown from the start. You You cannot just have a great relationship if you do not know where to start. And if it is to the voice of the heart, you do not listen, then how could it be that you could make theirs and your heart glisten? Shine brilliantly amongst together. For there is more than one heart when you are together. Or at least it is multiplied upon for what is the true size. Do you share the same motivations?
I need to take my mind
Same
off this mess.
things that happen to inspire? Same things that make you wish to go higher? Is it something that you have ever considered? Are you equally yoked upon for what is considered? Are your beliefs the same? Do you inspire to be great, or is the other just happy for where it is they happen to be? Much harder for greatness and great goals to be achieved. If the one that you happen to be with is on the floor and you are upon a chair, it is much easier to pull you down than you to pull them up there. So if it is you happen to inspire, you need to make sure that your one you'll be with has a similar such attitude as this. Or you will be disappointed. For they will try to stop you. Or arguments will pursue. And no support for your aspiration will there be. And no listening to the heart's voice of yours. For the other they will not do. They will not listen to the heart that is you. Nor will they even know for what the voice sounds like of what the heart is. That happens to be for what is. The actions and the feeling that you happen to be. This is being unyoked. And an unequal equal yoke in that way. For your heart, they will not listen, but you listen to theirs. It is a two-way street. They must listen to yours as well as theirs. For in a relationship, you are side by side. Just like an animal in a yoke, plowing a field side by side. So listen to the heart. If it is within truth, it is what you actually wish in your heart. If it is something that you do not, the proof of that will be seen regardless if you wish it to be or not. So amongst your situations, do you have similar thoughts in your situations? Amongst for where it is that if a situation were to come, what decision would you make? And do you know for what decision they will make? If you do not listen to for what is the voice of their heart. Cannot read them like a book because you refuse to read their heart. Can be a hard task to do such a thing. But enough about for what is. That's part of the subject. So what are you willing to do to change for what is the end result of this subject? Willing to put in for what is the work. Listening to for what is yours and their heart. As far as the voice. Willing to put in many hours and other things. But you only have so much time to do such things. For it is like a midsummer's day. Or it could be, possibly, a harsh winter's day. Could be a spring. Could be autumn, when the leaves begin to fall. Before the true death of the relationship. When the leaves fully lost the tree. That is the representation of your relationship with whoever it is that is thee. So for you, is it midsummer's day? Is it winter? Is it fall? Is it spring? But listening to their heart, that is how you can tell if it is for them, these seasons to be. Initially, you get for what is spring. New growth and all that. But summer is the goal. Which is after that. For that is when the flowers show more than just for what is the blossom. It is the point when the fruit start to show after the flowers blossom. So amongst your relationship, you see a blossom. Might want to get some water and tend to such things. Never know, could be the rosebud amongst these things. In case you do not know, that is a reference to Upon This Day, which is another loved one. Because you must nurture for what is. After you hear the heart's voice, to get the better part of the relationship, after you hear the voice, you must nurture for what it is that you know needs to be, for it has already been vocalized for what needs to be. You must tend to it as far as for what is the garden that equals your love. If you do not have the proper soil and all of that, how can you nurture for what is your love? It's a constant work. It never ends, for when you're yoked together, that becomes part of your work. Especially if you make commitments that are above for what most do another as such, or ones that make commitments for marriage and all these things and such. But you must be in tune with what is your partner's heart's of voice. Or you never know for what season they are, because you do not know how to listen to their heart's voice. Many times it is shown by what their actions and how they carry themselves. Even subconscious, outside of themselves. Even by how the answer might be. Another thing is that you could hear or see. But that is why you know 'em like a book. For you already know, without even having to look. It is hard to know if these things are something that you wish to actually pursue. But it is hard work to do such things if you choose to do. But you cannot find love if you do not put yourself out there. And you cannot have true love if they do not trust you. But they must be able to listen to your voice of your heart as well. No matter if they like the answer. No matter if they like for what it is your heart thinks. They must have unconditional love. No matter what another thinks. It's not easy to be one that has a difficult relationship. If there was already difficulties amongst such relationship. But that level of trust has to be there. Or how could any progress amongst that ever be there? If you do not trust the one that happens to be in the yoke beside you, what do you do when you do such things? Or when these and proofs of this can be seen? You fight against the one that is beside you, because you do not trust them, the one beside you. In some situations, it is earned. But amongst that, listening to each other's hearts must be learned. For the heart is something that you cannot control. Subconscious and everything. Other such things that you do not control. You can say all it is that you wish. But your heart is the only thing that is able to show proof or dispute such things as this. It shows for what is your true feelings, no matter for what is this. Even amongst for what happens to be your doubt. To learning your own heart. Maybe that can stop your doubt. For the heart is for what decides how and where you will go. Follows you no matter where you go. It proves for what is your actual motive. No matter if you wish to vocalize or show for what is your motive. But when you're in that relationship, you must have tender care. For you never know for who is listening, other than you, while you are there. But the main question, are you willing to put in the work? To have a better relationship? Or do you feel, in truth, it's worth the work? Only you can decide. Only you can choose. If the love continues or if it cannot and it has to die. But commitment must be done on both sides. Trust can be rebuilt up to a certain point, until all bridges have been burnt and destroyed at that point. but your heart has a voice. What does your intuition tell you? What do your instincts tell you? Not your doubt and your thought after. As far as, can you see yourself with them forever after? Can you truthfully say that you are happy? Do you feel sad when they're not around? That can be a way that you can tell if you are happy. But if you start to question, you should ask yourself, why should I be answering or asking this question? I had a girl recently that I was dating. After about 2 months, she wanted me to move in with her. Started talking about marriage and all that stuff, and I'm like, that's only after 2 months. She was pushing the issue. And I'm like, okay. She was so into me that she really wanted that. But I'm like, well, can I say that I feel the same? Or do I need more time to be separate to determine if I can feel the same? Now, by watching my parents and how they operate, they're very, very well in tune with each other. And I can tell they are. Just paying attention to them and other ones that I've seen that are 50 years into marriage and more, which there are quite a few that are around me that have been married for that long and other things. Just watching them and their body language and how they react. You can tell that they listen to each other's hearts. You don't know how many times I've watched other people be in their relationship, and one says something and the other one starts to do something, and their relationship has been going for 20, 30, 40 years or more. And then a newer relationship, the same thing happens, but the other one doesn't even do anything. Or they don't react the same, and not too long after that, no longer are they together. Because, they're not reacting, You kind of have to study them in a way. It's hard to explain. But if you watch ones that have been married for a long period of time, you start to figure out little tricks in there. Because, in a technicality, you become one flesh. Just not exactly one flesh. But as it is, you operate. You become that way when you choose to operate. Because you have to act in unison and know for what the other will do before they even choose to do such a thing. Because you're in a yoke beside them. You're acting as a unit. Not just you. In a relationship, there has to be two. But trust must be there. The ones that really have the biggest amount of trust for each other are ones that can be for many, many while away from each other, or away from communication or seeing each other, and still trust each other. No matter what they do, no matter what another says that they happen to do. The trust in a situation like that is above and beyond anything other than that. But those relationships are the hardest to work. For you only have a short amount of time to be together to make it work. Because of the fact that the yoke that I mentioned is a device that puts two together. At that point, when you are yoked, you are one flesh because you have to work together. And what is it said about a foundation that is against itself? A house divided cannot stand, for it's against itself. So your relationship, do you listen to each other's heart? Or is it more about yourself? If you're more concerned with what it is that is your desires and other things, such as that, how can you listen to the other's heart's desires? How can you expect to be in a good relationship if it is only about me? You cannot be in a relationship and only worry about yourself. So the heart's voice, do you listen to it and see its truth for what it is and itself? In truth, do you listen? Or do you learn when it is you do not listen? For only ones that truthfully know each other are able to listen. It can be hard at first, setting aside your pride and remembering that it's more about learning for what the other happens to wish and what they feel amongst for what is this. whatever that may be. You know why it's important to do it that way? It's fairly easy. Because there are parts of you that you cannot control. That no matter if you say yes or no, parts of your actions and other things you do not control will tell if it is truthfully a yes or no. If you never listen to the other person's heart, can you truthfully know for what is your own heart? Or if you do not look at it in the perspective of that, even if you are without relationship and such things, do you pay attention to your body language and the way that maybe you might act? Because it tells more than what you realize it does. Even the words you happen to try to use tell more about you than you realize. And many try to use that as a ruse. Many try to take advantage of such things. But if you learn to read the heart, how can you fall for such things? So listen to the heart when it happens to speak to you. No matter if it's yours or your partner's, when it happens to speak to you. For you never know for what information it might tell you. But you must be paying attention to realize for what it is trying to tell you. Well, that seems to be all the time I have for now. So, until next time.